It's interruption marketing at the end of the day. Because when people think it's about an ad, now they think it's about an algorithm. They try to complicate everything and they forget they're talking to humans.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is a very special guest, Sarah Sal, who is the Facebook and LinkedIn ad specialist at Hootsuite. We're going to be talking all about Facebook ads, copy, conversions, ROI, and all the fun stuff that go into building your business and your ad. Sarah, so excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So we always like to ask our guests, how did you even get into this line of work? What you're doing before, and how did that prepare you for what you're doing at Hootsuite now?
By a big coincidence, because my background is applied mathematics and computer science. And today I appear on some of the biggest conferences in marketing, copywriting. I have my name in some of the biggest copywriting blog like Copy Hacker, Copywriting Club, etc. I used to be very bad at writing. It used to be way easier for me to write 5 pages of mathematical formula. But you asked me to write 5 sentences. My mother tongue is French, so I studied in French, right? And I would mix things so badly that the reason I studied computer science and mathematics is like, gosh, I would not need to write a single sentence. I just speak to the machine. Numbers make more sense, right?
Sure. Different language.
Exactly. If you ask me, I would say grammar, spelling, it's a social construct.
It is.
Yeah, it is somehow. So let's say I was good at mathematics. The French teacher hated me and I hated her. Okay, hate is a strong word, but we didn't like each other. That's a better word. And then after university, I did a master in applied mathematics. I wanted to do a PhD. And I realized I love mathematics. It's meditative. It's calming. But I didn't like the job opportunity. I liked the topic, but I didn't like the doors it opened. Then I started working computer science, and I used to work with different APIs. So I would work with an API of a hotel reservation and look at a train reservation and look at something else and mix them together to build apps. And then Facebook API opened up, and I'm like, this is a really big opportunity. So I started learning it. And I even went to some hackathons, some in London, some in Berlin, where I built an app that would personalize the shopping feed from an Etsy store based on your Facebook, based on who you followed on Facebook, like company pages, and it won some awards and so on. And then one thing led to another. I started learning about marketing. And then I started learning about market, some of the best. I mean, back then it was Perry Marshall who had the best-selling book about Facebook ads. And one thing led basically to another. I started learning about copywriting. Let's say, for example, the best would be Joanna Wiebe, email marketing research. And before I knew it, I just shared what I did. So I would be in private community and this is what I did. This is the result I get. Not even hoping it would get me anything. And before I know it, people were contacting me and said, hey, I'm sick and tired of trying to make Facebook ad work for me. Can I hire you? And it happened that I was very active in John Loomer community. He's one of the best experts in Facebook ads. Somebody who worked at Ad Espresso contacted me and said, I want an expert. Many people say, I am an expert. But no, I've been reading what you write for years. When people ask a question and you just share your opinion, I know you know your stuff. And so I said, do you want to work with us? Sure. They were like the biggest store for managing ads after Facebook themselves. And they got acquired by Hootsuite. And I've been doing coaching for their enterprise client, which means over the year, I audited almost 1,000 Facebook and LinkedIn ad accounts, which basically I see what nobody else see because I could see everything across geographical, across different industry. Somebody might do something in the fitness industry and I see something in a B2B industry. Maybe this company need to learn something from that other company. So it's basically a long rambling to say you just go through life. You don't know where you'll end next.
Absolutely. And it's a testament to starting in one area and to expand on your skill set and your expertise over time. It's an incredible journey. Sometimes we all fall into it. We don't expect it, but suddenly we're learning about new things that we didn't expect before, but adds to our whole line of experience and what we do and how we help people. So now you have this unique experience and insight into ads. And this is something that a lot of people are mysterious about. Either they've tried them and either had a little bit of success or it was a total failure. What are you seeing in the trends and the data? What should people be focusing on when creating their ad?
It's interruption marketing at the end of the day. Because when people think it's about an ad, now they think it's about an algorithm. They try to complicate everything and they forget they're talking to humans. I say, forget it's an ad. Imagine you go into a coffee shop and you're interrupting a perfect stranger. The way you interrupt the perfect stranger, would that person be interested in what you're having to say? Or would that person go, leave me alone, right? People think it's all about the targeting. And I could tell you social media targeting is not that good with the exception of LinkedIn because you're not going to put fake job title on LinkedIn because all your colleagues and so on are seeing it. And people are marketed. They tend to go to a coffee shop, tap somebody on the shoulder and say, would you marry me? And when the person say, go to hell, they go to the next coffee shop. And then let me try a coffee shop in another city. I just need people who are desperate to get married. Imagine you help people pay less taxes. And you just having a conversation with a friend said, I almost overpaid my taxes by 20%, which would have been $100,000. But then I knew I could delay, I could ask people to invoice me earlier, and I could ask them to pay me 2 months later. I know that because I did this for a tax consultant. And then somebody across the table, their head turned, tell me more. That's marketing, it's persuasion. It's like, how do you talk to a stranger? I like to give the example of magnesium. If I said, buy magnesium tablet, why should I even care? If I told you that 80% of Americans are magnesium deficient, so what? Now, if I told you it causes insomnia, fatigue, depression, and you had a bad night's sleep, now you're paying attention, right? So it's like, how do I talk in a way with some fact, with copy and using storytelling that I'm grabbing your attention, basically, keep telling me the story, please don't stop talking. And then afterwards,
Yes.
you have 10 questions for me because how interesting it is.
Yes, absolutely. And I wouldn't say it's a new approach, but I don't think a lot of businesses are focusing on this type of marketing, creating an ad that really doesn't look or feel like an ad. That was a perfect description on how we present the pain point solution and how we even drum up this topic. So we know targeting isn't as effective, but it still could maybe work. LinkedIn's a little more focused on that, but I think they both serve different audiences and maybe different price points too. I feel LinkedIn is known for being B2B and B2C would happen more on Facebook, or it's just a different audience. How would you determine using one or the other or both for a specific campaign or business?
You could do both. I like to say that marketing is dipping your toe into the water. And I could have done 100 campaign and the 101 campaign would surprise me. So if companies can afford it, I say, try Facebook, try LinkedIn, have them fight each other, and the one that gets the best result or the best ROI win. Of course, one should be able to target. So I used to do a lot of B2B marketing on Facebook. And then over the year, I see Facebook removing the interest targeting. I used to do a lot of marketing for veterinary doctor, orthodontist. And overnight, my audience go from 20,000 people to 200 million. And I'm staring at my ad screen. Why is this not working? I used to get good lead. And then I look at the number, 200 million. And then you basically forcing me to target 200 million. Then I was no longer able to target that audience. You could still do B2B on Facebook, but it comes down to targeting. If you could do it on Facebook, you could do it on LinkedIn. The other way, not really.
Absolutely. It seems difficult when these platforms are constantly changing the targeting or the creative options, or we recommend this type of placement. What do you say about some of the Facebook or LinkedIn recommendations where they say you should use a creative audience or your cost per result could be 30% lower if you try this method? Have you used those? Do you recommend them, or are they against their own best interest?
Do you have a favorite kebab restaurant where you are located?
Not personally.
Let's go steak restaurant. Imagine you order the steak. You didn't have the time to eat it. It's on the table next to you and you're panicking like, oh my God, I need to go on the call with Sarah. And as you're panicking, a cat jumps on the table and the cat is like, you want to go on the call? Trust me, I'm the trusted partner. Leave the steak with me. After you finish the 30-minute call with Sarah, the steak will be there. That's like LinkedIn recommendation. And Facebook is not better, it's worse. Like one of the recommendation is enable audience network to get 5 more clicks at this price. Why don't you tell me how many more sales I would get? Why don't you tell me how many conversion I would get? Why don't you tell me how many leads I would get? It's all about impression, right? I cannot take it to the bank. And I like to give the example, if you have a birthday cake, slather it with mayonnaise and you'll increase the volume by 300%, but it would be absolutely disgusting. You wouldn't be able to eat it. Like there is a reason Mark Zuckerberg is worth 250 billion today. 5 years ago, he was worth only 25 billion. He's not worth 10 times more because there is 10 times more users of Facebook, not because he's employing 10 times more people, not because Facebook is 10 times more activity. Actually, my friends are spending less time on Facebook right now. It's basically recommendation that make it so easy for the advertiser to bleed money without knowing it. The way I see it is like trusting the cat with the ham sandwich. I'm not trusting, I might give the cat a slice of sausage or steak, but I'm not going to hire the cat as a bodyguard of a steak sandwich. That's the best example I could think of about trusting the network recommendations.
It's a great metaphor, and I appreciate you being so honest and open about it, because I've suspected this, but I've never felt confident in really saying, yes, for sure, that they're working against their own interests. Yes, I would not trust a cat either with a birthday cake slathered in mayonnaise or with a steak sitting next to me. I feel like it's against their own best interest. That's something we need to navigate and hear from the experts like you, so we know not to press those buttons when we see the little pop up and say, hey, your results could be lower. So it's really important to look at. Next up, I want to ask about the specific ad campaign strategy, because it sounds very similar to what I or other businesses might be going through, where the ad copy can be so impactful to a campaign. This was taking a campaign that would yield 40 cents for every dollar spent into $18.66 for every $1 spent. Wow, what a big difference here. What was the secret behind that campaign? And can you tell us more about how that worked?
Yeah, so I had strategizer as a client. This is a university teacher in Lausanne, Switzerland, who wrote a book that got translated into maybe 18 languages, sold 5 million copies, and so on. And they were bleeding money. It's a type of conference where executives from BMW, Air France, Renault, American Express, and they were spending $4,000 to get $2,000 in sales, something like that, 40 cents. And then I consume their content. I'm like, there need to be a better way. I watch their webinar. I join their email list. I look at their YouTube channel. I buy their book. Even at some point I went to their conference and I run an ad. And when they see it, they get an angry email. For God's sake, Sarah, what's that? Because in their mind, I was just promoting random content, right? Like somebody boosting a post. And I'm like, please look at the number. Look at my cost per click and yours. Look at the CTR and yours. I think they spent like $11,000, made almost $250,000. And then they stopped complaining because it was about giving people sample. I think there is a supermarket. I think it's Tesco. I'm not sure. Maybe something like some American supermarket that's known for giving sample. And they found if they go down the aisle and say, buy this chocolate cake, it's so moist and juicy, people will be like that. Leave me alone, right? But if they give you a tiny slice, you went there not wanting to buy a chocolate brownie. Once it enters your mouth, like, wow, that's so light and rich and delicious, you would buy it, right? So basically, the power of sampling increased sale by 2,000%. It was an article in the Atlantic magazine. And I applied the same thing to the marketing, where that actually, you remember when I said I hated copy, I don't know how to write. 90% of good copy is 90% listening, reading, digest information, only 10% writing. You're not writing copy, you're assembling it. And by consuming the content of that client, and each time like, wow, that's good. That's an amazing story. That's an amazing result. I turned it into it increased sales hugely. And I was at the conference after I got them the $250,000 of sales. I said, can you invite me to the conference? And basically I was taking note. Each time they have an aha moment, I would write it. But I was talking to people, and somebody who created a big company, the renewable energy, said, I wanted to go to the conference. Then I forgot about it. Then I was not sure. For $2,000, I could go to a really nice holiday. But then I kept reading all those stories about the amazing result the conference will help me get. I'm like, sure, take my money.
So that can demonstrate how this persuasion and real storytelling impacts us psychologically when trying to make a decision whether we buy something or not, and what kind of holds us back.
Exactly. It's not about screaming at the person, because if I said, are you suffering with, it sounds like an ad. Now you become defensive. Now if I said, Let me tell you about James, who was magnesium deficient and was depressive. And even without knowing, he was screaming at his 3-year-old daughter. And the moment we gave him pure, high quality magnesium, he slept like a baby. He no longer suffered insomnia. He's no longer in a bad mood. People said, "What happened to you? You're always smiling," right? No, in your brain, you're like, "Oh, that's me. Did somebody steal a page did somebody break into my house and read a page of my diary?" Because I tell it from the point of view of somebody we already helped. Actually, I had a client from the Shark Tank show, and it's a product called Better Back. It's for back pain. And she came and she said, "I think my problem is the targeting." And I'm like, okay, she sold million of her product and she pitched on Shark Tank and invested. How many people have back pain? And she's like, "Oh, if you're over 40, that's like 30%. So if you go to a random room and people are over 40, you're going to have people with back pain. What if you're already reaching the right audience, but the message you tell them is not good?" And the moment we stopped telling people this is a product for back pain and started telling the stories of people who suffered from back pain and how it made a day in life. So the story was a single mother who used to work like 16 or 15 hours per day on a call center. And when her back was killing her, she could no longer go to work. She only takes 60% because she's on disability. On a single mother minimum salary, she couldn't even pay rent. And it's just like, oh my God, the grandmothers have seen this Shark Tank episode of the product. It made day and night difference. And now people were visualizing themselves in that product. And basically, she got the most sales in a single day from Facebook ads when we used that approach.
Wow, that is absolutely fascinating. So I'm definitely going to try all of these methods this week and immediately switch over to a more story-driven method, and excited to try this out because it sounds incredible. Is this good for any business, for any price point, for any industry, or would you take a different approach, or is this kind of just the tried and true method?
It worked for a lot of industry. Now there are industries that are more visual, right? If you're a restaurant and people just need to see that green Thai curry look amazing, that chocolate cake look amazing, right? You wouldn't tell a story from 500 years ago how they discovered chocolate. There are moments where, hey, somebody's out from a nightclub and drunk and hungover and they need a pizza. You're not going to say, "Let me tell you a story of the Italian family squeezing the tomato with hand," right? They're like, "I'm hungover, just give me that pizza," right? No, there are industries where you need persuasion, where you need to build the desire, where people are not actively looking for that product, where you need to make somebody go, "Yeah, sure, tell me more." I mean, you sell handbags. You look at the design of the handbag, you either like it or you don't like it, right? Holiday, you look at the hotel room and the beach, either like how the beach look like or it doesn't look like, right? Not what you could do other than have an amazing photo. Now you have a conference. You're selling software. You're selling coaching. You're selling health product, which I did a lot of them. You're convincing people you can help them lose weight, get in shape, fix hormonal imbalance, get a better career, etc. That's where you need persuasion.
Interesting. Now, when you're setting up a campaign, let's say in Facebook, do you go as far as installing a pixel and you're basing it on the effectiveness of the link clicks, or you just kind of go general awareness and you're hoping that the landing page is going to do the trick? And do you even have one? Do you focus on the landing page as well? Do you continue that story-driven model?
100% I will not run ad if it doesn't have a pixel, because no tracking is perfect. But one, you want to know which ad is working, which one is not working, right? Awareness, don't do it, because Facebook have like 800 million fake profiles. So you're running awareness. Facebook is like, give me the money. 5 years ago, you had a warm audience. I might do retargeting and do traffic, impression, engagement. Now I only do conversion. Facebook is, you want the traffic. I don't care about the quality of the traffic. I don't care if 99% of that traffic bounce, if it's accidental click, if it's on a video where you're interrupting people watching a funny video and they're like, take that ad out of my face. So I only run conversion campaign. And of course the landing page need to work because the ads sell the clicks. But once you sell the click, the landing page needs to sell the conversion. Whether it's a sale, whether it's an email opt-in, whether it's watching a webinar, because the ads started the journey doesn't mean everything else, including the landing page, the email, what is even said on your website doesn't need to continue selling them to an ice-cold audience, if I could say it that way.
Yes, absolutely. Some great advice there on how to set up the campaigns and what we should focus on. But while we're creating that campaign here, you mentioned the sampling as an option, give kind of a free taste, a little trial of what's available. Do you recommend going for the hard sale within like that landing pages or conversion? But you mentioned some other option like opt-in or maybe like a lower ticket offer. Are those reasonable options, or do you like to go directly for the sale of the main ticket?
If you're a perfect stranger, you never heard about what a business offer. I'm not going to go from a perfect stranger to say, let me sell you a $2,000 product. It works for strategizer. They have a book everyone know within a specific industry, 5 million sold. I would want to get an email because I get more than one chance of selling to you. It's like, there is a business, I run ad for them for a year. It's a language course. They would break even on email opt-in. And then what happened is that most people would buy around 5 months and a half. And then it's Black Friday and they will make like $2 million in sales. So basically, they were breaking even while adding 10,000 new people to the email list at break even, knowing that those people will buy within a few months. But when they come with a new product, maybe somebody bought a course to learn Italian. Maybe next year the person wants to learn Japanese, right? And now you're making extra money from that person. It's very hard to go from perfect stranger to give me the money. It could work with some offer, but what happened if the person did not buy, you lost them. Well, if you get an email, and as long as the email marketing is good, right? If you send 3, 4, 5 email and then you forget them for 6 months and for 2 years, you create new blog post, new podcast, no webinar, no YouTube video, nothing, and people totally forgot you exist, then email become less effective.
Yes, absolutely. Now, for a few years, AI has been changing the game for a lot of businesses, solopreneurs, freelancers out there. Are you using AI in any way for your work in business? And do you see it having any sort of positive or negative effect on the industry as a whole?
I use it for editing. I don't use it for writing because AI make a lot of things up. I give you an example. I say, here is a pizza, here is some pineapple, here is some ketchup, here is some cappuccino, do something. And if I told an Italian chef this, probably that Italian chef will take his belt and try to hit me with it and say, how dare you do that? AI, it's not an expert. It doesn't recognize that I asked it to do something badly. And it created a chocolate pineapple cappuccino pizza. If hell exists, that's what people eat in hell, right? It's good for editing, right? For getting idea, for brainstorming. No. Here is where the risk of AI. Let's say you're in a specific industry. Let's say you're in the construction industry. Now you have 100 of your competitor all using AI, all sounding the same. But what I know, there are stories of how you help a client that nobody else knows than your client. And I'm having businesses where I'm like, hey, do you have students? Do you have clients I could interview? And when I interview them, sometimes the business owner doesn't even know their story. And sometimes there are stories that are extremely strong and emotional and nobody know because it's stuck on somebody's head and nobody asked. I give you an example. I wrote some ad for a course by copy hackers called Freelancing School, and I'm interviewing students. And one of the students say, it's lockdown, right? The job I had with internship disappeared. I go and I cold email 50, 60 companies. Nobody replied to me. I go and I register to Fiverr because I need a job. Somebody pay me, I don't remember the exact number, maybe $15 for a blog post for something spiritual I didn't understand. It took me like 10 hours to write it. And I'm like, that's like $1 per hour. She was so depressed that she said, I felt like if I went in front of Starbucks with a cup and bag, my career would be better. That's how bad it was. But then I joined a community where people were so supportive, where people had an overflow of work. And some people took me under the wing and said, okay, I need help with this because I have too many leads. And now I have a case study where I could say, this is how I help a client get a $200,000 lunch. No, I'm no longer making $1 per hour. I'm paid generously because company want case study. If they're going to give you good money, like, what did you do? Okay, you have somebody make 200,000. Okay, it's no longer an expense, it's an investment. And that story, if I didn't spend like 1 hour with the person asking her story in detail, nobody would have known. And you could go to ChatGPT, you could go to DeepSeek, you could go to Claude, you could go to whatever AI is there. AI doesn't know that story. And this story is unique to one single business, not 10. One, right? And you're sure that the 10 other or 100 other competitor cannot tell the same story. So basically AI make me want to go deeper. It's like, no, I need to work harder to distinguish myself. Because before, to write an ad, somebody said, my English is not good, my grammar is not good, I need to hire somebody, that person need to get back to me. Now, with one press of button, you could generate 100 in 5 seconds, right? And all the ad platform are using AI. So how do you stand out from all the bad noise?
Absolutely. But I think it's a perfect example of how we can actually ethically use AI to not burden us with this extra workload and use it in the ways that actually benefits us and doesn't take away that human element, but also the importance of soliciting feedback from your clients. This is information that is so valuable to a company, and just the story and the reasoning behind why they had this issue and why they chose you. That can be a powerful story to use in your marketing messaging. It's just huge.
Yeah, I have an example. So a language course, they assume people wanted to speak fluent Spanish, right? Most people say, I'm in Mexico. If I could order a taxi, I could order food, I could order my coffee, I'm happy. I don't want to understand political debate on TV, right? So going from that to what people said, I think it was a difference between making 20,000 and maybe 60,000 in sales. But the biggest problem, people said, I've been learning language for years. Native speakers speak too fast. I know every single word, I know the grammar, but I cannot every 5 minutes ask them to speak slower. So now having a course, so how do you train your ear to understand people who speak fast? I don't remember the exact number, but he made over 200,000 when he launched the product. It wasn't about marketing. It wasn't about the ad setting. It wasn't about a secret button. It wasn't about running a traffic instead of a conversion campaign. It wasn't about marketing. It was simply about asking the audience instead of assuming what exact problem they had. That was like day and night difference in terms of ROI.
And I see that issue happening with a lot of business owners. They spend and invest so much time and money into an idea that they think is going to fit into a market without even asking them, or building the product and then deciding, okay, now I want feedback. Ideally, you want that feedback right away. Before you even make a logo, a brand name, or a website, go ask your potential audience, what do you think about this? If I put this together, would this be valuable for you? Getting that early buy-in from your potential audience is going to be critical for how you build this out. And even if you bother to build it out, you might realize there's a different solution to this problem that you were going to spend months trying to solve that unfortunately there wasn't going to be demand for.
Right?
Absolutely. A lot of great advice and tips here. Sarah, I do want to ask you, where can people find you online and get connected with you? Because it seems like you have a lot of resources available, blogs, podcasts as well.
My website. So just Google my name, Sarah, with an H at the end. It's A-L, or Sarah-Sal.com, and that's my website. And if you're on that website, you'll find me on LinkedIn, you'll find the different blog posts I have and so on.
Very nice. And we'll have all those links available down in the show notes and the description for everyone to get connected. Now, Sarah, where do you think ads are going to be going in 2025 and beyond? Are you kind of foreseeing a different trend taking place, things that we should kind of be aware of as we're going into 2025 here?
Not really. Actually, another podcast asked me what is something that worked today that didn't work 6 months ago. How about I tell you what worked 100 years ago before social media even existed? I think things like persuasion, talking to a human, interruption marketing, storytelling, market research would always exist. And the example I gave them, I think it was the American Heart Association. If I remember, they said popcorn that you get at the cinema have 37 grams of saturated fat. How do you know? Is it too much? Is it too little? Is it exactly? Nobody know. So they said it's the same as an English breakfast, sausages, French fry, and God know what combined. It made it to the first page of every major newspaper. People were like, what? Just the popcorn is like fried steak and an English breakfast and a sausage and an egg and all the trimming. And analogies, it's like something you cannot understand. Use an analogy and I get it now. And that will not disappear, whether it's 2025, 2026, or if maybe it's 2035, or 2,135 and none of us exist, maybe somebody still hear this interview. Oh, I could use analogy so people can understand my marketing. Build your marketing on things that are long-term. Don't build your marketing on something that is only short-lived, because then you burn out. Then you're doing something and then 2 months later it doesn't work. And then you need to find the next thing that works and it doesn't work. And non-stop you need to do your thing. If you build your marketing on a solid foundation, 10 years from now, it's still going to work.
Interesting. It will be fascinating to kind of see how things change and won't change from our traditional storytelling and the persuasion methods that we currently have. I do have a couple more questions if you have a few minutes here.
Sure, I do. Take your time.
I wanted to ask more specific to a lot of the advertising and just niching down. I see a lot of people that recommend you're on a specific audience, on an industry, speak to that person individually. But sometimes there's other businesses that are full service and they feel like they help a little bit of everybody. How important is it to really define an audience or niche down into this segment, or can more of a generalistic ad still be effective?
I've seen it work a lot, the niching down, and I've been doing it for almost 10 years. Now, the beauty of advertisement is you don't need to guess. You put $50 here, $50 here, $100 here, $100 there. And the one getting you the best result is the one you keep. Now, if you said, I help you with your marketing, it's not as specific as saying, as a dentist, I help you with your marketing. And before I wrote the ad, I understood the linguistic. What are the exact words dentists use that non-dentists will never use? No, my ad is way more powerful. No, it's a question of testing. Now, just because something worked for me, there are many campaigns that did not work that when I niched it down to work. But just because this is my case, I cannot generalize. Basically, I like to say you have to ad and you tell them to fight each other till death, and then only one of them live, the one with the highest ROI.
Yes, it's good to put them against each other. And we have to test these things because we just don't know. We can use all our past experience, what has or hasn't worked, and pulling all these numbers and figures together. But actually testing something specific and unique to that business or product or service is really going to open new ideas and opportunities for you. And then once you decide to scale a campaign, do you ever go back into more of a multi-channel approach? Do you ever rely on just one source for a while? Because I know it can either dry up, or you just never know, if it's not in your control, how long those results might last for.
Have you ever heard of Dubai chocolate?
The what chocolate?
Dubai chocolate.
No.
Okay, it's something that went viral on social media. It's basically a chocolate with a filo dough with pistachio inside. And on social media, it's exploding where people are copying it. So I keep seeing on social media Dubai chocolate. And I used to think it's not a big deal. And then I found a vegan chocolate shop in a small medieval town in Belgium called Ghent. And I see Dubai chocolate. I'm like, okay, put me out of my misery. I need to buy it and know what is the big deal. And you know, if it's really good, but what made me buy it, it's all the other channel I kept seeing, right? And sometimes growing on only one single channel, it's difficult because you're saturating the market. It's like, sometimes I take client and they get good results. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, you're going to get good success for 6 months and then you'll hit a wall. And then I see clients who do podcasts, good email list, amazing content nonstop, new product nonstop. And I'm like, that's the client that for 5-6 years would be able to run ad with success, because we live outside of Facebook. We live outside of LinkedIn. It's like, once you have multiple touches, you make it more powerful. So listen, I had people like a client recommend, and then they said, wow, I Googled you, you're everywhere. They found a podcast, they found a YouTube video, I spoke at a conference, they found a blog post I wrote, right? Actually, Facebook banned me for a stupid joke. I used to have 5,000 followers. And there used to be a fight between Apple and Facebook with a lot of drama around tracking. And then I wrote in a blog post, I said, Facebook and Apple are like two drag queens fighting for the last lipstick on earth. It was on a Saturday I published that blog post. On Sunday, I could no longer use my page, my fan page. I couldn't care less, because blog post I wrote in 2019, the amazing case study where I have put 100-hour writing thing. I was still in the industry referring to them. I said, when people meet me at conferences, I read your blog post 3 years ago and I couldn't forget it. So it's always a multi-channel, because I've seen clients that treat like Spanish, learning a language, where Facebook said this is political propaganda. or treating hormonal imbalance. And sometimes talking to Facebook support or talking to a wall is the same thing. So if you're depending on only one channel, it could kill your business. You would literally have business with 20 employees, and if that's the only way they're generating money is only one channel, that's suicidal. And I have client counting, we said, how do we scale? Okay, we got all that money from venture capital. I said, do search engine optimization, build an email list, find the blog that is the most difficult to write for in your industry, where after you get rejected, you would want to cry. But if you get accepted, you know that you made a masterpiece. That's how you scale, not on one channel.
Yes. And I think that highlights the importance of having that evergreen content. Blog posts from 3 years ago are still showing up in search results. People can't forget them. They're still finding them. This is that type of all-encompassing approach I think a lot of businesses should be focusing on. One, it just different channels of revenue, and they help complement each other. The Facebook ad can get the click and get them to the page to find out about you, but the YouTube videos and the podcasts and the blog posts are going to help tell more about your story and how you help them. And that's everything that helps them just be more invested into your brand. Once they start consuming that content, you don't want them to leave, because that's when they're going to a competitor.
Do we have time for
And
another story?
yes, please.
So there is a dentist that come to me asking for help. Her husband is a dentist that does dental implants. And during the day, she does the marketing of the competitor. And she's like, Sarah, I copied the targeting. I copied the ad copy. I copied the landing page. I copied everything. I don't understand why my boss is getting amazing result and I'm not. I'm like, can you go to Google, type your husband name and type your boss name? Her boss name was to be found everywhere. Her husband not. I might see an ad, right? But if you think I'm going to pay $5, $10, $15,000 for a medical procedure, and it's not only about the money, it's like, what are the complications? Is it a good? What are the risks on that procedure? You think that for $5,000, I'm not going to grab that person's name and Google it? So it's a case of doing marketing and everything that exist outside of the Facebook or LinkedIn ecosystem, make that the ad is more likely to convert.
Interesting. So copying something word for word, copy for copy, even the landing page as well, just could be found online. And therefore, those are missed opportunities where someone is searching for problems or solutions to their problems online. That's
Just the name of the dentist.
wow.
It's like, imagine there is a hotel and you go on a honeymoon. The hotel costs $5,000 per night. You think you're not going to Google that hotel name to look at the review?
I would.
You have a lot of people on YouTube saying, I love that hotel. And it's the same thing for a dentist. Like the boss was found everywhere. He was found on YouTube, on podcasts. He had amazing blog post content that made people say, okay, I'll open my mouth. And when I open my mouth, I give you $5,000 and I let you sedate me, and knowing that for the next 3 hours, I don't know where I am. Yeah, for a medical procedure costing $5,000, people will Google your name. And that was the difference. What can people find when they Google your name?
Absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned the dentist, because I'm also working with a dentist right now. Very similar situation where just getting her out there, more opportunities with the content. So that way people can see and experience a little bit about her and her brand as opposed to her competitors. But great results already. 8 new patients last in January, just a couple months ago. So we see that the SEO is taking effect and having results. But we did do a little bit of ads as well. But unfortunately with ads, once you stop spending the money, the leads stop coming in, which I think the SEO can help supplement, and just doing the other content as well. And people are researching, people are more informed than ever before. So consumers are looking for you online.
Correct.
Sarah, we appreciate all of your wisdom and tips and tricks with us and expertise into the Facebook ads and LinkedIn world. Very exciting stuff. We appreciate everything that you shared with us today, and really looking forward to everything that you're doing, and excited to stay in touch with any of the cool updates from your blog and everything.
Sure. Same here.
Thank you so much.
Okay. It's my pleasure. Take care.